Have you ever wondered how fast a bike makes you? What I mean is, would you be faster on a brand new all singing, all dancing bike? And vice versa, would you be slower on a worse bike? So we're going to put it to the test. Today I've got Tom with me, who you may recognise from Dirt Shed News, a keen enduro rider, and we're going to put some times on an enduro stage, first on our new Orbea Rallons, on paper the bike for the job, and then again on a mid-price bike, a Canyon Stoic Hardtail, and then again on a cheap bike, the Voodoo Hardtail that cost me £320. 3 times each on 3 different bikes, ranging in price from £9,500 to £320. How will our times compare? Is an amateur rider like Tom comparatively slower on the worst bikes to an old pro like me? Can an ex-pro enduro racer with 2 UK Gravity Enduro titles ride a cheap bike quicker than an amateur? The Orbea Rallon, brand new for 2021. Interesting actually, this is one of, I think, the best enduro bikes out there. It's going to be ridden this year by Martin Mays, one of, I think, the best riders in the world, so I can't wait to see what happens there. Anyway, what is it? It's an enduro bike, 160 mil of travel, a 170 fork. You can run it as a full 29er like Tom is, or like me, I've swapped the linkage and I run this mixed wheel, so 27.5 on the back. It's long and slack, enough room for a big drop seat post, 64 or 64.5 degree head angle depending on where you've got your flip chip, carbon frame and a big 38mm fork. A Canyon Stoic, actually my hardtail, the bike I've been riding quite a lot recently, and actually riding it quite hard at the bike parks, bombing down the hills, so I know it can do that, but I'm certain this is going to be a bit slower when it comes to riding enduro stage, just because of the lack of rear suspension. Doesn't really matter on the price of it, all the componentry, just that lack of compliance on the rear means that every bump I'm going to hit is going to slow us down. But actually I think it's going to be interesting to compare mine and Tom's times on the Stoic, see how that works out. It's an aluminium frame bike, 65 degree head angle, so pretty slack actually, 29er wheels and 140mm travel fork. This is the Voodoo Hoodoo. It cost me £320 second hand, but actually this bike is only about £500 brand new, so I think that's a bit of a bargain. It's got progressive geometry, especially for a bike at this end of the market. It's got a 67 degree head angle. It's one by, it's got decent brakes, aluminium frame. It has got 27.5 wheels, no dropper post, and the tyres are lacking a bit of tread when compared to the others. Okay, we're at the top of the hill. The stage today starts off nice and flowy, some jumps, pretty smooth to begin with, before it then tips down the hill, gets steeper, rough, rooty with some big drops. That's quite a sprint. Maybe it's not about the bike, it's about the rider. I ran out of puff. Oh man, I like pushed hard through the jumps and I was blowing. Like, I went too hard too soon, but it was only like less than 2 minutes.
I didn't felt the front sort of start to give slightly. Okay, started that first
That's
jump.
hard, isn't it?
Sorry, Rich. Hope your bike's okay.
Right, Tom, it's hardtail time. How are you feeling about trying to ride fast down the hill on these?
A little bit nervous actually, because you didn't tell me that we'd be on hardtails before you invited me out here, and I actually haven't ridden a hardtail for a good 10 years or so.
Well, perfect then. Well, I've been loving this bike, so naturally I would like to ride this one first, because I wouldn't really like to jump from my enduro bike straight to this. You wouldn't either.
Exactly the same, yeah, me neither.
So I reckon rock, paper, scissors for what bike we get next.
Okay, makes
Right.
sense. On 3 or after 3?
On 3.
1, 2, 3.
Oh yes!
Oh,
The Stoic.
damn.
Right, get your pedals on. Hardtail time. It's going to be interesting this, because there's even between the two bikes, quite a big difference, especially in pound notes to how much slower may the cheap bike be. We don't know yet, time to find out. But it's the top smooth, isn't it? I reckon it's going to be fast.
I reckon we'll be good up the top, and then down the bottom it'll just be a case of keeping off the old coward levers as good as you can.
Both clipped in, which I feel is going to help, because it does get actually pretty rough. We'll see. Time for hardtail action. The Voodoo Hoodoo, race mode engaged. Quite stoked to get back on this beast, actually. It's a good bike. I reckon 27.5 is going to be slower. I reckon his tyres are going to be slower. The angles aren't going to suit it quite as well as my Stoic, but bang for buck, this bike is amazing, so I'm pretty excited to actually put a time in on it. All right, let's get into the data. Actually, before that, this is specifically about the better bike for enduro racing, or at least putting in a time on a short single enduro stage. So many people judge how good a bike is in many different ways, how much fun it is, loads of different things. There's loads of different reasons to justify the best bike for you, but this is one probably for me, simply how fast the bike is. Right, my fastest time was on the Orbea Rallon. You kind of knew that. Second fastest, Canyon Stoic, 1:48, only 3 seconds slower. And then thirdly, the Voodoo Hoodoo, 1:50, so actually quite close. Tom's fastest run, again, Orbea Rallon, 1:56. Second, makes sense, Canyon Stoic, 2:04. Third, Voodoo Hoodoo, so 2:12. As you can see, there were bigger jumps between me and Tom. My Stoic run was only 2.8% slower than my fastest run. Voodoo only 4.7% slower, whereas Tom, he was 6.9% slower on the Stoic and 12% slower on the Voodoo Hoodoo. So conclusions, whilst the best bike for the job was the fastest for both riders, it made the biggest difference for the slower rider. So what does that tell us? Well, to some degree for Tom, it is about the bike. The more capable the bike is, the faster Tom could ride. If Tom had the Voodoo and bought himself a Rallon, he would be 12% faster straight away. Whilst for me, it made less of a difference. So that tells us, in the scheme of everything, it kind of isn't about the bike. The better rider you are, or in this case, we're talking about the enduro stage times, the faster you are, the less the bike matters. At the highest level, theoretically, if you gave Martin Mays the best bike compared to a crap bike, it wouldn't make that much difference, although being even a percent lower at the EWS would likely drop you a long way down the standings. So you could say it isn't about the bike, it's about the rider. Damn it, Lance was right.